Hello friends, today we are going to cover the topic Selenium IDE. So the name of the tutorial is Selenium IDE tutorial and there is no coding required. Okay, first of all let's go to the agenda slide. So we are going to cover Selenium IDE introduction, install and set up Selenium IDE, features of Selenium IDE, most commonly used Selenium IDE commands, record and execute automation scripts with Selenium IDE. We will record 3 automation scripts, and in the end, we will see the differences between Selenium IDE and WebDriver. Okay, so let's start with what is Selenium IDE. So, Selenium IDE is one of the variant of Selenium tool. You know, Selenium comes with different flavors like Selenium IDE, WebDriver, RC, Grid, right? IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. IDE is a record and play based web automation tool which is used for automation testing, and it can only be used for web automation, right? So it's a record and play tool. It does not require any programming language knowledge. So what you can do is you can just launch Selenium IDE and do some manual operations. Then Selenium IDE will record all those manual operations and convert those operations into commands, and it will automatically generate the script for you. So it is one of the simplest web-based automation tools. Okay, so how can we install and set up the Selenium IDE? So first of all, let me tell you one thing that it comes as a plugin for different browsers. Not different, you can say it comes only with Firefox and Chrome. So this is one of the limitation of Selenium IDE. It supports only Firefox and Chrome. So first of all, let's see how we can install the Selenium IDE browser. All right. So what you have to do is simply go to the Google and type install Selenium IDE for Chrome. We will be installing for Chrome because we are using the Chrome browser. Okay, here is the link. You can simply click on this link and it will take you to the Chrome Web Store. Here you can see the Selenium IDE plugin, and it is developed by Selenium HQ, which is the official developers of Selenium IDE. And this is the install button. Add to Chrome. What you have to do is you to just click on this button and it will ask you to add. Here it is. Selenium IDE has been added to the Chrome. All right. So Selenium is successfully installed. I mean the IDE is successfully installed. And how can we launch it? You have to click on this extensions button and there you can see this Selenium IDE. Here you see. So this is the welcome screen for Selenium IDE, and we will click on this record a new test in new project. You have to give the project name. Let's name it my project. Okay. Okay. And now you have to give the URL of your website, or you can say the web application which you want to test. I am taking selenium.dev. Okay. So we have installed the Selenium IDE in the Chrome browser, right? What is the next slide? Okay. Here are some of the features of Selenium IDE. So as I already told you, it is a record and play tool. It supports limited browser. It supports only Firefox and Chrome. So you cannot test your application on other browsers like Safari or Microsoft Edge, right? Yeah. So the one of the interesting aspect of Selenium IDE is that it does not require any coding. If you want to use or if you want to use this tool for automation, you can simply record your test and you do not have to write any code. But due to this feature, it also has some limitations. With Selenium IDE, you cannot add the coding logic like if-else conditions or loops in your script, so which makes it uh, very it makes it of limited use. Like you can only test very simple applications with Selenium IDE, and you cannot uh, test the complex applications with it. No code reusability. So as we cannot, create any methods in Selenium IDE scripts, so there is no code reusability. Maintainability is quite high. Of course, you cannot create methods. So obviously, if there are any changes in your application or software, then it impact your scripts and it has a heavy cost. All right. So let's move on to the next slide, which is the most commonly used Selenium IDE commands. So these are some of the most commonly used Selenium IDE commands. First one is the open command, which is for opening the URL. Set timeout. It is for setting the timeout limit. I mean the timeout wait. So I mean this timeout defines for how much time Selenium IDE should wait for a particular element to be present on the page before throwing the element not found exception. Window maximize. Yeah, so this is for maximizing the browser window. Store. This is one of the coolest uh, commands you can say, because this command is used to store a value in a variable. So it does not give you any coding facility, but it give you a command to create variables. So if you are using any value in your Selenium IDE scripts multiple times, let's say a username, you are filling out a form and their username is used a number of times, and let's say in future you want to test the same form with some other user, then you have to edit that script and you have to change the username on all the steps where you have used it. But with this store command, you can create a variable at the very beginning of the script, store the value of the username inside that variable, and use that variable in that script. So if in future the username value will be changed, you just have to change the value in the variable and the remaining of the script will not be impacted. So this is really cool feature. Echo is used for printing some logs. If you want to print any message or log, echo will be used. Click and wait. So this is used for clicking on a link or any other element. Go back and wait. This is used for navigation, like the browser navigation command. If you want to go back to the previous page, you can use this command. Type command. So this is used for entering values in a text field or text area. Store eval. Yeah, this is again one of the cool commands. You can execute any JavaScript inside this. using this command. If you want to execute some JavaScript on the web page, like for scrolling down or scrolling up, you can use this command. Click. Click command is used for clicking on the radio buttons or checkboxes. Select. Select command is used for selecting the drop-down options. Add selection. Yeah. So add selection is for selecting the options in the multi-select box, right? So select is for selecting drop-down options and add selection is for selecting the multiple selection boxes. Assert title. So assert commands, basically there are multiple assert commands in the Selenium IDE. Assert command is used to validate some point or some message. So assert commands are basically used at the end of the script, and they are the validation points. And on the basis of the assert commands, we find out that our automation script has passed or failed, right? If let's say if you are automating any login script, so uh, you have entered the username, the password, clicked on the login button, and how will you verify that the login has successful using the automation script? So after clicking the login button, there must be some success message or failure message, like login has successful or login has failed, or your username or password is incorrect, right? So you can use the assert text command by verifying that the success message is uh, displaying or not after clicking the login button. So this way you verify or validate that your automation scripts are passed or failed. In similar way, you can also assert some of the elements on your web page. Like after login, you want to verify that there should be a profile pic. So you can also assert that element, right? I'll tell you when we'll create the automation scripts. I'll show you there. All right. So these are some of the common Selenium IDE commands. Okay. Record and execute automation scripts. Now we will record some of the automation scripts using the Selenium IDE. Okay, so this is my Selenium IDE and I have uh, entered the URL. I will click start recording and it has launched this Chrome browser. I will maximize it and here you can see the message which is saying that Selenium IDE is recording. So whatever operations you will perform here on this browser, Selenium IDE will record those actions and create commands for those actions. Okay, so what we are going to do is we will simply click on the different links present here and yeah, support blog. You can also assert the title of these pages by right clicking on this page and go to Selenium IDE option. There you see assert commands. What you want to assert, any text or title. I will click on title. Okay, Selenium IDE is recording. Okay, my test is completed. I just want to check that the links are clickable or not. Now I will go back to Selenium IDE and click this stop recording button. Okay, I clicked stop and it is asking me to give a name to this test. I'm giving a name, test links. Okay, all right. Here you see the name of the test case, and this is the Selenium IDE script. So Selenium IDE has recorded all the actions which I performed just now. So you can see this is the base URL. This is the open command, so it is opening the base URL. Then it is setting the window size. It has maximized the window size. It has clicked on the first link, so it is locating the elements with the CSS locator. So if you have no idea about the locators, you can uh, go to the techlistic.com, click on the Selenium link, and on this Selenium tutorial, you can go to the Selenium locators strategies here. You can find out the different Selenium locators, and there is also a cool video which will tell you everything about the Selenium locators, how we can use the different Selenium locators to locate the web elements, right? You can find out here. All right, and here also you can go to the Selenium IDE tutorial, which is the current one, and here is all the theory part for the Selenium IDE tutorial, right? Okay, so what we were doing, we were going through the script. So we are clicking on the different links, and Selenium IDE is by default capturing all the links by their CSS locators. And the last command is the assert title command. So I used this command to validate the title of the blog page, which was the last link, should be this, right? So this Selenium script is recorded. Now I will show you how we can execute this script. So you can see this is a Selenium IDE plugin, and here you can see the different pans. This is the test case pan. This is the menu bar. Here you have the different options, run all tests. If we would have multiple test cases here, we can use this play button to run all the test cases present here. This is for running the current test. This is for running the test case from some point. I'll show you how we can do that. This is the test execution speed. You can set the speed slow, fast, normal, whatever. This is the recording button. If you want to record again a new test, you can click on this recording button. This is the stop button. This is the save project button, right? Let me save my project. I'm saving it. Okay, so the my project is saved as. Okay. If I want to again open this project next time, I can open it from this option, right? And you can also edit this script by clicking on the command, and you can edit from here. You can select any other command, or you can select the target and the locator. You can change the locator from here. So you can edit this script like by right clicking on any of the point. You can cut, copy, paste this command, delete this command, or insert a new command, right? Like this. So this way you can edit the script. Okay, and this is the logs section. When I will execute this script, all the execution logs will be displayed here, right? All right, so let's execute this script. We have recorded it. Now I want to test this again. So what I have to do is I have to just click on this run button. I will click on this run button. All right. So it is executing. It is clicking on the different links. You can see, yeah. So my script is executed. Here you can see the execution logs and my test links completed successfully. You can see my script has been executed successfully. Okay, so let me show you how I just want to make this script fail. So that's why I'm putting some random value in this command. I want my script to be failed at this point. So I just want to show you that what will happen if a script will be failed. So let's say this is a link. It was previously present on the web page, but due to some developer's error, now it is missing from the current website, right? So let's execute it again. It has stuck on this point. What it is saying: warning, link locators are deprecated in favor of link text and partial link text link is treated as link text. Trying to find link is equals to ABC. So it is trying to find, but the timeout is 30 seconds. It will wait at least for 30 seconds before giving the exception. Let me use link text and then execute it. The assert statement was passed. So it is waiting for the link text ABC, which is actually not present. Okay, so what if I change this assert title? This is not the correct title, and I want my script to be failed. Yes, so the script has failed because it could not verify the title. ABC is not the correct value. It was expecting something else. That's why. So the actual value was support Selenium, which did not match with the ABC. So actual value did not match with the expected value, right? And the script has failed. So this is how you can, this is how the verification is done in Selenium IDE. Now let me create one another script. I will click on the test. I'll click on add new test. Search keyword. Now I'm creating one another test. I'll click on the start recording. Okay, the browser has launched. What I will do, I will search Selenium IDE here in the search box and click enter. The page has come and now I want to assert this text. What I want to tell the Selenium IDE is when I search Selenium IDE here and the page will come up, and on that page the heading should be Selenium IDE. And how I can verify this heading? Right click on this text, go to Selenium IDE, assert, and text. So what it will do, next time the script will be executed and it will check after entering the text and clicking enter. On this page, it will verify that this heading should be Selenium IDE and not be something else. Okay, stop recording. So this is the script. Open window size, click, type Selenium IDE, send keys, click enter, and then click CSS H1. So this section is recorded multiple times because I did not stop the recording and I was clicking on that link multiple times. So I will manually delete these commands from here. Yeah, this is fine. Okay. So send keys, after clicking enter, it is verifying that the header h1 present should be Selenium IDE and not something else. Okay, let's execute this script. Yeah, it is entering the Selenium IDE, clicking enter, and yeah, that's it. See, the search keyword has completed successfully. So what if, let's say, on this I want to fail the script, or let's say in future this text shouldn't be Selenium ID. This should be Selenium uh, integrated. This is changed to Selenium integrated, and this is the expected value. Let's say in future it will be changed to Selenium integrated. Then what will happen? But right now it is coming as Selenium ID. So our test case should be failed. Let's execute it. Okay, see here. So our test case has failed because we were expecting the value Selenium integrated, but the actual value comes out Selenium ID, which did not match with Selenium integrated. That's why our test case has failed. So this is how you can, verify your conditions in Selenium IDE. Okay, so we have now recorded two scripts, and now we will record one more script. Go to teclistic.com, then click on the demo websites, and there are different demo websites for Selenium practice. We will open this Teclistic automation practice form. Yeah, we will automate this practice form using Selenium IDE. All right, this will give us a picture of different Selenium IDE commands. Automate form. I'm adding one new test case. Okay, I have to change the base URL for this, right? Start recording. Now it has launched this URL. Maximize it, enter some name, John McCoy, enter mail, experience 5, enter any date, fashion, select the automation tool, select North America, multi-select commands, click button. That's it. Stop recording. Okay, so it has recorded all the operations that we have just performed. It has open, this is open command, window maximize command, clicked on the first name, then type the first name, the value is John, then type the last name, McCoy, clicked on the gender radio button, mouse over, experience, mouse out, okay, clicked on the profession, number, I guess this is a uh, number of years of experience. So these are the locators. It is Selenium IDE is identifying these elements with their locators. I'm again telling you, you can go to techlistic.com Selenium tutorial and you can find out how we can locate these IDs. So I'm just explaining you how we can do that. Right click on any element and click inspect. It will open this console, and here in the HTML code you can see the ID, the different Selenium locators, ID, name, class. This is how Selenium IDE picks the different locators. This is the way it is identifying these elements, right? Okay. The next command, type the date into this element. So if we will see, we will inspect this date picker, then we will find out that the ID of this date picker is ID is equals to date picker. And this is what Selenium IDE has used. So this command is telling the Selenium IDE that enter this value into the web element whose ID is date picker on this web page. Right? All these commands work in the same fashion. Then it is clicking on the element whose ID is profession1, and which is actually this Selenium WebDriver. Then it is clicking on the element, click ID contents, which is actually the select box, right? Then it is selecting the North America from the select drop downs, and then it is selecting different options from the multi-select box using the add selection command, and in the end it is just clicking the submit button, right? So these are the same commands which I explained a few minutes earlier. Okay, now what we will do, we will execute this script. We will see Selenium IDE will fill out all the values into the practice form. Okay, I'm starting the execution. Now you can see it is entering all the values, selecting the checkboxes, radio buttons, entering the date, scrolling it down, selected the continent, and yeah, that's it. You can see the execution has completed, right? We have not uh, added any assert command here because this was just a example script. You can also add any assert command at the end to assert the success text message. You can use the assert text command here, give the expected value and the actual value to validate that your test case has passed or failed. All right, so this is what Selenium IDE is. So there is one option left. You can also add any toggle point in any of the step. So I just clicked on this line number 3 and it has added a toggle point. So what is a toggle point? So if you want to execute your script step by step, then you can add a toggle point in your script. Let's say your script is failing on this point or on this point. So you just want to check it manually that why it is failing. You can set a toggle point here, and then what will happen if you click on the execute button, your first two commands will be executed, but the execution will stop at the toggle point, and then you will click on this button and one by one, and it will execute these commands one by one. I'll show you how. So I have added the toggle point here at line number 3. I am starting the execution. Run current test. So see, the first two commands has been executed, and here you can see this yellow background. The execution has stopped here. So how I can execute rest of the commands step by step? Just by clicking on this button. I will click on it. See, it has executed the next step. It has typed the first name. Okay, now I'm again clicking on it. It has entered the last name. I have again clicked on it. Now it has, see, selected the gender. I again clicked on it. Mm, Now it will click on the years of experience. Yeah, it clicked. Again click. It will enter the date. Yeah. So I'm clicking on this button one by one, and it is executing the commands one by one. Yeah. So the submit button is clicked and my execution is successful. So this is the way how you can debug your scripts which are failing. You can just put a debugger or toggle point before the command which is failing, and you can just debug that script by using this debugger option. And if you want to execute all of these scripts in one go, you can just click on this run all test and it will execute all these scripts, right? So this is the Selenium IDE and how you can use Selenium IDE for your automation testing. We have created all these test scripts, right? And now let's move to the next slide. Yeah, so this is the last slide, and it is about the difference between the Selenium IDE and WebDriver. So for Selenium IDE, I have already explained you everything. And for the WebDriver, so Selenium IDE requires no coding, WebDriver requires coding. Selenium IDE is also open source and WebDriver is also open source, means it's a freeware. IDE does not support any language, but WebDriver supports Java, C Sharp, PHP, Python, Perl, Ruby, and it supports almost every browser. Yeah, so WebDriver supports every browser, and IDE only supports Firefox and Chrome. WebDriver is cross-platform. It supports multiple operating systems, and IDE also supports the different operating systems. You can achieve code reusability in WebDriver, yes, because you can create methods in WebDriver, and automation maintenance effort is less in WebDriver, yeah, due to the coding part. And there is one more cool feature in Selenium IDE, which you can do is if you want to uh, export this script into some other language, you can just click on this test script and click on the export button, and from here you can select the different language in which you want to export this test script, and this will export. This will actually transform the script into a Java file. I'm storing this as the automation form test. Okay, so let's open this script. All right. Hey, now you can see, so the same script has been converted into a Selenium WebDriver script using the Java language. And you can, if you have the language knowledge, you can execute this script in a Java IDE. And there is one other thing. I mean, if you want, you are running short of time and you do not have time to create the automation scripts in Java language, then what you can do, you can just record the manual operations in the Selenium IDE, and then you can export those scripts into your favorite language or into the language which you are using for automating your project. If you want to export this Selenium IDE script into Python, you can also do that. Now I have exported it in Python, and here you can see add it with Notepad. Yeah, here you see the same Selenium IDE script has been transformed into a Python Selenium script. You can execute this script in Python also. So this is one of the coolest feature of Selenium IDE. If you would have any queries on Selenium IDE or WebDriver, so just ask me in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe this channel. Thank you.